Dear students, in this video I am going to share with you the added topics in the syllabus of Political Science class 12th by the Cbse. In this video we shall cover the added subunits in your textbook in Political Science, Politics in India since Independence. Unit 1, Book 2, Politics in India since Independence. Name of this unit is Challenges of Nation Building, and the subunit is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and National Integration. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the first Deputy Prime Minister of India and also the Home Minister of India. He was a very important leader of the freedom movement after the Kheda Satyagraha of 1918 and the Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. Though you have already read about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and the integration of princely states in the chapter Challenges of Nation Building, but here you will find some extra information about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and his contributions. At the time of independence, the problem of integration of princely states was a very big challenge for the national unity and integrity of India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel took this responsibility of uniting all 565 princely states of India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was known as Iron Man of India. His approach to the question of merger of princely states into independent India was very clear. He was not in favor of any compromise with the territorial integrity of India. By his political experience, diplomatic prowess and foresightedness, out of India's 565 princely states, most of the states had already given their consent to merge with India even before achieving the independence. He had to face key challenges of integration, especially from three states, that is Hyderabad, Junagadh and Kashmir. It was under his leadership that Indian forces compelled Hyderabad and Junagadh to merge with India. His contributions to our country, India, are really great. He will always remain as an outstanding leader who combined in himself the features of a true nationalist, catalyst and realist, popularly categorized as NCR in Indian political history. And now the next subunit in the chapter, Planned Development. First subunit of the chapter, Planned Development, is National Development Council. Now, National Development Council. The National Development Council, NDC, or Rashtriya Vikas Parishad, is the apex body for decision creating and deliberations on development matters in India. Presided over by the Prime Minister, it was set up on 6 August 1952 to strengthen and mobilize the effort and resources of the nation in support of 5-year plans made by Planning Commission to promote common economic policies in all vital spheres and to ensure the balanced and rapid development of all parts of the country. The council comprises the Prime Minister, the Union Cabinet Ministers, Chief Ministers of all states or their substitutes, representatives of Union territories and the members of the Niti Aayog, erstwhile Planning Commission. NDC, National Development Council, has been proposed to be abolished, but till date, no resolution has been passed to abolish it. Since the inception of Niti Aayog's Governing Council, which has almost the same composition and roles as NDC, the NDC has had no work assigned to it, nor did it have any meetings. During the tenure of former Prime Ministers Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh, it was felt that Planning Commission has outlived its life and needs some reform. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced Planning Commission's abolition and created Niti Aayog through an executive resolution. The first meeting was chaired by Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru on 8th and 9th November 1952. So far, 57 meetings have been held. The 57th meeting of National Development Council was held on 27th December 2012 at Vidhan Bhavan, Mumbai. Now, its objectives. It has been set up with the following objectives. Listen to this. To secure cooperation of the states in the execution of the plan. Next, to strengthen and mobilize the effort and resources of the nation in support of the plan. Next, to promote common economic policies in all vital spheres and to ensure the balanced and rapid development of all parts of the country. Next, to provide social amenities like education, medical care, social services, etc. to the citizens of the country. Next, to improve in living standard of the people. Next, to increase in per capita income. Now, its functions. The functions of the council are to prescribe guidelines for the formulation of the national plan, including the assessment of resources for the plan. Next, to consider the national plan as formulated by the Niti Aayog. Then, to make an assessment of the resources that are required for implementing the plan and to suggest measures for augmenting them or increasing them. Next, to consider important questions of social and economic policy affecting national development and to review the working of the plan from time to time and to recommend such measures as are necessary for achieving the aims and targets set out in the national plan. Now, the next subunit in the same chapter, that is plan development. The next subunit is Niti Aayog. After independence, Planning Commission based on socialist model was formed for the planned development of India. But in the era of globalization, especially in the 21st century, it was becoming ineffective, particularly in terms of coping with the pressing challenges of development. During his Independence Day speech on 15th August 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about the abolition of the Planning Commission. Niti Aayog was constituted in place of Planning Commission on 1st January 2015 with the objective of providing the necessary and technical advice to the Union government regarding policy making at the center and state levels. The Prime Minister of India is the ex officio chairman of Niti Aayog and he appoints the vice chairperson of Niti Aayog. The first chairperson of Niti Aayog was Arvind Panagariya. Dr. Rajiv Kumar is the current vice chairperson of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog acts as a think tank of the union government to harmonize the interests of national security and economic policy and to prepare a strategic long-term framework of policy and program. By adopting a bottom-up approach, the Niti Aayog acts in the spirit of cooperative federalism as it ensures equal participation of all states in the country. Now, the next chapter, India's foreign policy. The name of the subunit is India-Israel relations. Around 45 years after independence, due to various reasons, India's foreign policy in the Middle East region, now called West Asian region, And India's relations with the West Asian countries were mainly concentrated with Islamic countries. During this period, India's attitude towards Israel, the only non-Islamic nation in the region, remained unexplored, notwithstanding the two nations gaining independence from the British colonial rule in 1947 and 1948 respectively. Though historical and cultural ties between India and Israel have gone back from times immemorial, diplomatic relations formally developed between the two countries after the opening of Israeli embassy in India in 1992. Relation between the two democratic nations intensified with the visits of the two heads of governments, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Israel in 2017 and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to India in 2018. The two nations have started cooperation in various fields like cultural exchange, security and defense, counterterrorism, space research, water and energy and agricultural development. Now the next subunit, India's nuclear program. India's nuclear policy has always been peace-oriented, whose clear impression is reflected in the policy of no first use. But in view of contemporary regional security challenges, the government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made it clear that the policy of no first use can be reviewed and changed in consonance with India's regional and national security. In addition, India is committed to ensuring its membership in the Nuclear Suppliers Group (NCG) and opposing partisan and unjust nuclear treaties like CTBT and NPT. And now let's move to another chapter, Democratic Resurgence. And the subunit is Jayaprakash Narayan and Total Revolution. Jayaprakash Narayan was a Marxist in his youth. He was the founder General Secretary of Congress Socialist Party and the Socialist Party. Hero of the 1942 Quit India movement. Declined to join Nehru's cabinet. After 1955, quit active politics. He became a Gandhian and was involved in the Bhudan movement, negotiations with the Naga rebels, peace initiative in Kashmir, and ensured the surrender of dacoits in Chambal, leader of Bihar movement, and became the symbol of opposition to emergency and was the moving force behind the formation of Janata Party. He became the first leader in post-independence of India who undertook tirade against corruption through the participation of youth, particularly in Gujarat and Bihar. He advocated the office of Lokpal against corruption. His principle of communitarian socialism views India as a society of communities encompassing three key layers, that is community, region and Rashtra, all combining together as an example of true federation. Based on the above principles, Jayaprakash Narayan advocated transformation of individual, society and state through his call for total revolution. His call for total revolution aimed to encompass moral, cultural and economic, political, educational and ecological transformations. The essence of transformation, according to Jayaprakash Narayan, involves around men who could be the real catalyst of change in India. And now the next subunit from the same chapter, Ram Manohar Lohia and Socialism. Ram Manohar Lohia has been one of the main proponents of socialism in India. He championed the idea of democratic socialism while associating his socialism with democracy. Lohia considered both capitalism and socialism equally irrelevant for Indian society. His principle of democratic socialism has two objectives. The economic objective in form of food and housing, and the non-economic objective in form of democracy and freedom. Ram Manohar Lohia advocated Chauburja Rajniti, in which he opines four pillars of politics as well as socialism: center, religion, district, and village. All are linked together. He not only favored the downtrodden but also the women and the non-religious minorities. And now the next subunit from the same chapter, Deen Dayal Upadhyay and Integral Humanism. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was a philosopher, socialist, economist, and politician. The philosophy that he represented is called integral humanism, which was intended to present the indigenous social economic model in which human being remains at the center of development. The aim of integral humanism is to ensure dignified life for every human being while balancing the needs of the individual and society. It's about sustainable consumption of natural resources so that those resources can be replenished. Integral humanism enhances not only political but also economic and social democracy and freedom. It seeks to promote diversity. It is best suited for a country as diverse as India. The philosophy of integral humanism is based on number one, primacy of whole, not part. Number two, supremacy of dharma. And number three, autonomy of society. He also opposed both Western capitalist individualism and Marxist socialism. According to him, capitalist and socialist ideologies only consider the needs of the human body and mind. So they are based on materialistic purpose, whereas spiritual development is equally considered important for the complete development of human being, which is missing in both capitalism and socialism. Basing his philosophy on the integral conscience, pure human soul to be called Chitti, Chitti, Deen Dayal Upadhyay envisaged a classless, casteless and conflict-free social system. And now let's move to the next subunit, democratic upsurges. Increasing participation of the people in the democratic politics of the country is broadly characterized as democratic upsurge. Based on this principle, social scientists have characterized three democratic upsurges in post-independence history of India. The first democratic upsurge could be attributed from the 1950s till 1970s, which was based on the participation of Indian adult voters to the democratic politics, both at the center and in states, falsifying the Western myth that the success of democracy requires modernization, organization, education, and access to media. The successful holding of elections to both Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies all across the stage of the principle of parliamentary democracy were the testimony of India's first democratic upsurge. During the 1980s, the increasing political participation of the lower classes of the society, such as SCs, STs, and OBCs, has been interpreted as second democratic upsurge by Yogendra Yadav. This participation has made Indian politics more accommodative and accessible for these classes. Although this upsurge has not made any major change in the standard of living of these classes, especially Dalits, the participation of these classes into the organizational and political platforms gave them the opportunity to strengthen their self-respect and ensure empowerment in the democratic politics of the country. The era of liberalization, privatization, and globalization from the early 1990s is attributed to the emergence of a competitive market society encompassing all important sectors of economy, society, and polity, thus paving way for the third democratic upsurge. Thus, democratic upsurge represents a competitive electoral market which is based not on the principle of survival of the best but rather the survival of the ablest. It underlines three shifts in India's electoral market: from state to market, from government to governance, from state as controller to state as facilitator. The third democratic upsurge seeks to promote the participation of the youth, who constitutes a significant chunk of Indian society and have emerged as the real game changers in view of their increasing electoral preference for both development and governance in India's contemporary democratic politics. And now let's move to the next chapter: Indian politics trends and developments. Subunit NDA 3 and 4. The Bharatiya Janata Party, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, got an absolute majority in the Lok Sabha elections held in 2014. Where the previous coalitions were led by one of the national parties, the NDA 3 coalition was not only steered by a national party, that is BJP, it was also dominated by BJP with an absolute majority of its own in Lok Sabha. It was also called a surplus majority coalition. In that sense, a major transformation could be seen in the nature of coalition politics, which could be seen from one party led coalition to one party dominated coalition. The 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the 17th since independence, once again brought back BJP led NDA, that is NDA 4, to the center of power by winning more than 350 seats out of 543. The BJP on its own won 303 seats in the Lok Sabha, the biggest number any single party has won in the lower house since 1985, when Congress swept the elections in the aftermath of Mrs. Indira Gandhi's assassination. Because of the tumultuous success of the BJP in 2019, social scientists have started equating the contemporary party system with the BJP system, where an era of one party dominance like the Congress system has once again started appearing on the democratic politics of India. Now, the next subunit from the same chapter, Indian politics trends and developments. The name of the subunit is Issues of Development and Governance. With its pre-intended goal, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, the NDA 3 government started several socio-economic welfare schemes to make development and governance accessible to the masses, such as Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, जन धन योजना, दीनदयाल उपाध्याय ग्राम ज्योति योजना, किसान फसल बीमा योजना, बेटी पढ़ाओ देश बढ़ाओ, आयुष्मान भारत योजना, etc. The intention of all these schemes is to take administration to the doorstep of the common man by making the rural households, particularly the women, real beneficiaries of these central government schemes. The success of the scheme could be seen from the results of 2019 Lok Sabha elections, with the BJP-led NDA government categorizing the current change with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas. Students, there is one more added subunit in the chapter, regional aspirations. That is Kashmir, the Kashmir issue. Since this chapter, regional aspirations has been deleted for the 2021 board exams, so no need to prepare this topic for this exam, for this upcoming exam. So this is the end of this video. And if you feel that this video was helpful, please like, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching. Take care.